Hi, is Matt available?
Yeah, this is Matt. How's it going?
Hi, Matt. This is Diana with Metal Life. Just calling for your interview. You still got time?
Absolutely. I'm just going to put my headphones in. You want to give me just 2 seconds?
Yeah, no worries.
Hold on. Okay.
All right, cool.
You there?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear.
There we go. All right. Well, we'll start right off with it. So, obviously, you're on tour with Voivod and Child Bite. How's the tour going?
Yeah, it's been really great so far. We've about, I don't know, probably been over a week into it now, and yeah, the show's been really great. Obviously, it's an honour for a band like us to be out on tour with a band like Voivod, who has such a huge legacy behind them, and still going strong after all these years. And of course, our friends from Child Bite, who we're sort of label mates with, and been out on the road with quite a few times in the US and Canada now. So it's always a pleasure to go out with them as well. So yeah, we're having a real blast at the moment.
Awesome. How many dates are you doing this time?
I think in total it's about 38 or 39 shows. So it's quite a big tour, and we started off down in Texas and sort of making our way, around sort of the West Coast, and we'll make our way up to Canada and then sort of across Canada and go over to the east side of the US a little bit to finish off. So yeah, it's a pretty big one. So yeah, it's for an Australian band, it makes a lot of sense for us to come over here and try and do as many shows as we can, because the overhead costs are so high for us to get here. So we might as well make the most of it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. No, I can't imagine how expensive it is for you guys to come over. But when you finish, are you guys going back to Australia, or are you doing any like the summer festival tours?
We're just doing this at the moment, and then we're going to head back to Australia. We're sort of halfway through writing our new album, so we're going to spend a little bit of time doing that and get that done in Australia. We'll probably play a few little shows here and there, and I think sort of like October, I think we're heading over to Europe to probably do another 4 or 5 week tour over there later in the year. So yeah, we're keeping kind of busy, but we also want to sort of allow a little bit of time for writing as well, because we want to keep the product coming as well as touring relentlessly as possible. But there's going to be a little bit of time for that creative outlet as well, which we really enjoy as well.
Oh yeah. Well, where would you say your biggest fan base is, at least for right now?
I would say probably in Australia is where our biggest fan base is. I mean, we've been sort of doing it there for longer than anywhere else, and I guess it's only been the last sort of 2 years where we've been able to sort of branch out internationally a little bit more and start playing in the States and start playing in Canada and traveling around Europe and stuff as well. So we've done a little bit of touring in Asia, but
nice.
Yeah, it's one of those things, it's you just got to, that consistency is kind of what we always aim for, and trying to get out to all the different markets, which there is so many of them. But I would still say that, back home where we sort of had a little bit more time to get established and whatnot is where we have our best fan base, but it's certainly growing here in the US and especially Canada too. We seem to get a really good response there, and we've only done 2 tours in Europe so far, but hopefully getting back there more often, we'll see that grow as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And now you guys are from Melbourne, correct?
That's correct, yep.
All right. Now in Australia, though, where would you say your favorite place or your favorite city to play is?
Well, obviously we're from Melbourne, so we have a good home following in our home city. That's always fun. But I think, for the most part, pretty much all the major cities, we do really well there. Perth's always great, although it's sort of like such an isolated city, Perth. It's always fun because a lot of the international touring acts that are coming to Australia, they often miss it because it's so far out of the way. So they always appreciate when the bands go over there to visit. And but Sydney's always great. Brisbane's always good. we've played down in Tasmania a bunch. We always have fun down there. So,
Right.
yeah, we just we like to get around and do as much as we can, and try and at least visit each place once a year if we can in Australia.
So then, who would you say is your biggest musical influence then, since you're so far out of the States?
Who is my personal influence or the band?
The band.
Look, it's that'd be a really difficult one to say. I mean, we all come from such a diverse background musically, and some of the guys in the band are from more of a metal background, and some of the guys are from more of a sort of rock and roll and a punk background. So, I think the way that the different styles of the musicians in the band fuse all together and sort of create this sort of, I guess it's like a bit of a hybrid sort of sound between like grind and thrash and punk rock. So, I mean, if you'd had to, I mean, obviously we're influenced a lot by, like AC/DC, for instance, who just have that relentless work ethic as well, and they tour so much and just keep going, so that, like, not so much probably musically and stuff, but just the approach is that's really important to us. But as far as bands go, I mean, we could all sort of, each member of the band would be able to say something different, but I really like bands like Poison Idea and that have that real raw kind of sound and high energy, like old school sort of sound. That's kind of where King Parrot is sort of stooped in, that sort of old school sound, and we're really influenced as well by a bunch of Australian bands that never really sort of got that opportunity to get out and tour internationally, and it's some really good stuff, like sort of undiscovered stuff for a lot of international people that happened in Australia sort of in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Sort of, when the world seemed a little smaller, and the international touring opportunities weren't so readily available for bands, that they didn't get that opportunity. But yeah, there's some great bands from the Australian scene, like Damaged and Bean Flipper and Blood Duster and Alchemist, bands like that have been a big influence on King Parrot as well.
Awesome. Well, going back to the work ethic, now obviously, you're barreling through the tour, but when you're touring internationally, what would you say is your biggest challenge while you're on tour for you guys?
Probably not killing each other is high up there. That's one of the things that, I mean, I think for the most part we get along really well, and for a band that spends so much time together, we have sort of quite, minimal drama. I mean, as you go along and you're doing it so often, you sort of, learn how to fall into a rhythm, I guess, on a day-to-day basis, and make the shows happen kind of smoothly if you can. But I guess, I mean, there's many challenges, I guess, and I suppose keeping the unit together is one of them. I think initially we've gone through a few different drummers since we started the band, and I guess when you're touring internationally, it all seems like a really, great idea and something that everyone wants to do as a musician, and everyone approaches it sort of all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then you get into it, and sometimes it's just sort of not the sort of thing that people want to do after they experience it. So we've had a few little issues in regards to holding on to drummers, but we've got a great drummer that's been with us for nearly 2 years now, and he did our last album and everything. So the rest of the band's been a pretty solid unit other than that. But yeah, I guess it's especially with the drummer as well. It's a big part of the band. There's only one of them, so it sort of does change the feel of the band and the vibe. So it takes a little while to adjust to that. So yeah, it's nice to have been able to string 2 years together with our drummer Todd, and he's working out great. Really, sort of, his character and his personality and everything really fits in with the band well. But I guess other than that, I think getting established internationally is kind of tricky, and I think financially as well. Like without harping on it too much, but that is kind of one of the struggles, especially for a bunch of musicians. It's not like we want to sit around doing accounting and finance stuff all the time, but
right.
We've come to realize that budgeting and doing all those sorts of things, it's a real necessary part of being in a band and running a business. So and getting established and getting yourself out there, it costs a lot of money. So we just try and live reasonably conservatively and make the best of it, I guess, from the opportunities that we've been given so far, and we've been extremely lucky with lots of those, and met so many great people in the metal world, and icons of metal, so that have said, hey, we're fans of your band, and we want to help you, and we want to support you, and we're incredibly lucky and grateful for that. But I think it's also probably a sign of how much hard work has gone into it as well.
Right. Well, no, and that's wonderful to hear that people are really pushing to help you out, take you under their wing, and that's the awesome part about metal. I mean, you see it a lot. Everyone seems to, we all have our own ambitions, but we still want to help each other out. So that's really cool. You're experiencing that here too.
Absolutely.
So, Matt, I got one last question for you, man. So out of all these interviews and, talking to fans and everything else that you do, what is one question that you get asked so much you're kind of over answering it?
What one question? Let me think. Oh, the typical question about Australia. Is there really so many snakes and spiders and all that kind of stuff down there? Everyone over here says that to me, and they're like, oh, no, I'm never going to Australia. So many people are like, no, we're never going there. It's way too dangerous and all that sort of thing. And I just think it's hilarious because, I mean, if it was that dangerous, we probably wouldn't be here. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but we often get asked about it, and I think the way that the TV and everything portrays Australia over here, I don't blame people for probably thinking that it is an extremely different. It's an extremely dangerous place, but it's not as bad as what it seems. So don't be scared of Australia.
I've had that exact same conversation with a couple people, and it's funny, but then you see some of the stuff on YouTube, these koalas that are going nuts because they're pissed because somebody fell out of a tree, and you're seeing different sides of different animals and shit, and you're going, I've never known that a koala could sound like a lion, and I don't know if I can handle that. So yeah, it's a bit traumatic for us Americans, but you know what, we'll get over it, and that's awesome that you guys are able to come over and do what you love doing. So it's very cool.
Absolutely. And I think, for the most part, I don't know when they get the video camera out on those koalas and stuff, but most of the time koalas are sitting up a eucalyptus tree eating the leaves, and they actually get stoned off the leaves. So
really?
Like unless you're like sitting there prodding it with a stick or something like that, they won't bother you at all.
You never think of it, and then, like I said, someone will find this random YouTube video and you're like, oh my God, this can actually happen. I'm going to walk around if I ever see a koala. I don't know if I'll get to Australia anytime soon, but, still it's awesome. Australia's been one of my favorite places I've wanted to visit for a long time, been completely infatuated with the wildlife there for years. So it's a great place.
It's certainly different and very unique, and the animals and everything like that. We love them, and it's certainly quite different to what's happening here in the States. But it is what it is. It's great. We're lucky that we get to come over here and experience all the beautiful things that are over here in the US as well. Like we've driven from Denver to Salt Lake City, and just even being here at Salt Lake City, you know, surrounded by the mountains and everything, it's incredible. And just really awesome. Very lucky that we get to do this.
Absolutely. All right, Matt, it was so cool to talk to you. Thank you for, you know, your time. Thanks for doing the interview. And as soon as we get the link up, we'll go ahead and get this out to you guys, and we'll go from there.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yep, take care.
Have a great day.
You too.